My name is Stephanie Carter. I'm 32, a successful accountant in Boston. All my life, I've been the responsible one, the good daughter who did everything right, while my younger brother, Ethan, always got away with everything. Despite helping my parents pay their mortgage for 3 years, I found out something that completely shattered me. After my dad passed away, he and my mom left the house, all their savings and all their assets to my brother, not me. So I made a quiet decision that changed everything. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happened next. I grew up in Lexington, a suburb outside Boston. Our family was a solid middle-class one. My dad was an engineer and my mom was a part-time elementary school teacher. From the very beginning, my parents treated Ethan and me completely differently. I was 4 years older, and as far back as I can remember, I was expected to be the mature, responsible one who set an example. "Stephanie, help your brother with his homework," they'd say. "Why can't you be more patient with him? You need to understand he's younger." These phrases became the soundtrack of my childhood, a constant refrain. I worked hard in school, maintaining a 4.0 GPA, joining every club that looked good on college applications, and volunteering on weekends. Ethan, meanwhile, barely passed his classes. Yet my parents celebrated his C grades like they were major academic achievements. "He tries so hard," Mom would say, ruffling his hair. "Not everyone is naturally smart like you, Stephanie." That was another thing. My academic success was always dismissed as natural intelligence, never the result of late-night studying and sacrificing social events. This minimized my hard work and simultaneously gave Ethan an excuse for not putting in any effort. The pattern continued through high school. I was accepted to Boston University with a partial scholarship, but it wasn't enough. My parents sat me down for an adult conversation. "We can help a little," Dad explained, "but we need to save for Ethan's college fund. He might need extra support." I swallowed my disappointment. Having already anticipated this, I got a part-time job at the campus bookstore and took out student loans. I made it work, just like I always did. 4 years later, when Ethan was accepted to Northeastern University, my parents paid his full tuition, room, and board. When I mentioned the disparity, Mom just smiled and said, "You were always so independent, sweetie. Ethan needs more support to succeed." After college, I secured a position at Anderson Accounting, a top firm in Boston. I worked 60-hour weeks, took night classes, and climbed the corporate ladder through sheer determination. By 30, I had saved enough for a down payment on a small condo in Cambridge. Nothing fancy, but it was mine, bought without a single dollar of family help. Ethan's path after college was very different. He bounced between jobs, never staying anywhere longer than 6 months. The work environment was toxic, he'd explain, or they didn't appreciate my creative approach. My parents always nodded sympathetically. When he was 27, he wanted to open a craft brewery, knowing nothing about brewing or business. My parents still remortgaged their house to give him $200,000 in startup capital. The business folded in 8 months. "At least he tried," Dad said at the family dinner where Ethan announced the failure. "That's more than most people do." 2 years later, it was a food truck funded by another $50,000 from my parents' retirement savings, which also failed within a year. Then came the artisanal furniture phase, where he decided he could build custom tables after watching YouTube tutorials. More money from my parents, more failure. Through it all, I remained the stable one, earning promotions and building my reputation. Then, 3 years ago, everything changed. Dad called me, his voice unusually hesitant. "Steph, do you have a minute to talk about something serious?" He had been having heart problems and had to reduce his hours. Mom's income was part-time, too, so their income had decreased significantly. "We're wondering if you could help us out temporarily," he said. I didn't hesitate. "Of course. How much do you need?" That temporary arrangement became permanent. Every month, I transferred $2,500 to cover their mortgage, property taxes, and utilities. There were also requests for home repairs or medical bills. I never refused, even though it meant postponing my own condo renovations and cutting back on personal expenses. I didn't mind. They were my parents, and I was in a position to help. A part of me still hoped that by being the good, responsible daughter, I would finally earn the approval and recognition I had always craved. I faithfully sent the money every month for 3 years, even picking up extra clients and working holidays. "I'm on a tight budget right now," became my standard excuse to friends, though I never explained why. I fantasized about a moment of recognition, a family dinner where they'd acknowledge everything I had done. "We don't know what we would have done without Stephanie," Dad would say in this daydream. "She saved our home." These imaginary scenarios kept me going through the lean months. As an accountant, I tried to have conversations about their long-term financial planning. "Have you considered downsizing?" I suggested gently. Mom looked scandalized. "Leave this house?" "But all our memories are here." I bit my tongue instead of pointing out they were losing money every month, maintaining a house they didn't need. My contributions remained unacknowledged. Even when Dad's health took a worrying turn a year ago with a minor heart attack. During a rare moment alone with Ethan, he admitted, "I know you've been helping them a lot with money and stuff. Maybe we could split the costs once I'm more stable." This gave me hope. This hope grew when my mom mentioned they were updating their will to make sure everyone is provided for. I assumed they would acknowledge my years of support. I never imagined what would actually happen. Dad's health continued to decline until he was hospitalized permanently. I took family leave and spent every day by his side while Ethan visited for less than an hour at a time, always having a reason to leave. Mom would say, "You handled it, Stephanie. You're better at understanding all that medical jargon." During this time, she mentioned that she and Dad had finalized their will with everything clear and all taken care of. I assumed fair arrangements had been made that accounted for my financial support. When Dad passed away quietly, I was holding his hand. A month later, we met with their lawyer, Mr. Jenkins. Mom seemed unusually nervous, while Ethan appeared oddly relaxed. As Mr. Jenkins read the will, I listened, waiting for the details. And to my daughter Stephanie Carter, I leave the sum of $5,000 in recognition of her achievements. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. $5,000? After everything I'd contributed, Mr. Jenkins continued, "All remaining assets, including our family home. All bank accounts I leave to my son, Ethan." The room seemed to tilt. I gripped my chair, my throat closing up. Everything was his, with a condition that Mom had lifetime rights to live there. When the meeting ended, I drove home in silence, dropped them off at the house now. Ethan Zan collapsed, sobbing. My phone lit up with calls from Mom, which I ignored. She left a voicemail. I know you're upset, but try to understand. Ethan needs the financial security more than you do. You're already successful with your good job and your condo. We just wanted to make sure he would be okay. Her justification made the pain worse. I was being punished for my success, while my brother was being rewarded for a lifetime of poor choices. The next morning, I called in sick for the first time in 5 years. I couldn't face my own work when my family had so profoundly devalued my contributions. When I finally answered my mom's calls a week later, her first question wasn't about me, but about the mortgage payment. Honey, I just wanted to check if you sent the money for this month. It hasn't shown up yet. I said, I'll take care of it, and hung up. Numb. My best friend, Lisa, was outraged when I told her, that's beyond unfair, Steph. That's exploitation. My colleague, John, had a similar story and advised me to stop being their personal bank. That evening, my mom texted asking for an extra $800 for property taxes with no please or thank you. Something snapped. I looked at my bank records and saw I had transferred $64,200 over 3 years. The final straw came during a phone call when Mom mentioned Ethan's plans to renovate the kitchen with money from Dad's life insurance. He mentioned, you'd probably want to keep helping with the mortgage so we can afford nice things, she said cheerfully. When I learned he had also bought a luxury car with his inheritance money while contributing nothing, I knew I had to act. Asterisk. I tried one more time to have a reasonable conversation with my mom. I've been paying your mortgage for 3 years. Did that factor into the decision? That was your choice, she said. Nobody forced you to help us, but you asked for my help, I reminded her. This isn't about money, she said. This is about family. You've always been so materialistic, Stefani. I stared at her in disbelief. Materialistic? I've given you over $60,000. That's what I mean, she said. You're capable of taking care of yourself. Ethan needs more support. It was then I realized nothing I could say would change her perspective. My brother would always be the one who needed and deserved more. A text from Ethan later that night telling me not to be selfish sealed my decision. I met with my financial advisor, Sarah, who validated my decision to stop. Your mother has options, she pointed out. She could ask your brother for help, or she could downsize. These are normal solutions. It wasn't about revenge, it was about healthy boundaries. That evening, I composed a careful email to my mom. I would no longer be able to pay the mortgage, with the last payment being on the 15th. I hit send, then temporarily blocked their numbers. I booked a week off and went to a cabin in Vermont. The week was healing. When I returned, my phone exploded with calls and texts. Mom's messages went from confused to pleading to hostile. Ethos were aggressive, calling me selfish and ridiculous and threatening to tell everyone what I had done. The final blow came when a group message from Ethan painted me as an ungrateful daughter abandoning her widowed mother. As the mortgage due date approached, Mom's messages became frantic. Mortgage due tomorrow, she wrote. If you don't pay, we'll default and lose the house. Is that what you want? I typed a response. You chose. Now pay. The explosion was immediate. They called me selfish and heartless, but I stood my ground. My therapist, Dr. May, helped me understand the guilt I was feeling. If a friend told you this story, what would you advise them to do? She asked. The question clarified everything. I would tell a friend to stop the financial support immediately. I deserve to prioritize my own well-being for the next month. I focused on myself. I redirected the money I had been sending them to my own savings account for condo renovations. I said yes to social invitations and started a yoga class. Slowly, I began to feel like myself again, but a stronger version. The silence from my family ended abruptly when Ethan showed up at my office. Mom is freaking out, he hissed. The bank sent a warning. You need to start paying again. No. Don't? I replied calmly. The house belongs to you now, Ethan. If you're concerned about the mortgage, you can pay it. I can't afford it, he exclaimed. Then perhaps you should sell the house and get something you can afford, I suggested. That's what responsible adults do. His face flushed with anger. You're doing this to punish us. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm simply no longer paying for a house that doesn't belong to me. I've already contributed over $60,000. That's more than enough. You've always been so damn selfish, he spat. Only thinking about yourself. Mom was right about you. A security guard approached. Is everything okay here, ma'am? No, I said clearly. This man is harassing me. I've asked him to leave, but